Salutations and welcome, friends, to the fastest 2 minutes on YouTube, where we here at Trust the Profits ask a special guest to join us to answer 5 pressing questions about the Kentucky Derby, which is, of course, the fastest 2 minutes in sports. And here to join me is my very good friend. You know him from Twitter. You know him from This Week in Stable Doodle. You know him from Big Mondays Going in Circles podcast with Chuck Simon. Barry the Sniper Spears. Barry, how you doing?
Good, good. How's it going, man?
Going well, going well. You ready to answer these 5 questions?
Oh yeah, always ready.
All
Always
right.
ready.
Well, let's start off with a fun one. And that is one that, this is how my sister, my brother would probably pick a winner in the Derby. Best name in the Kentucky Derby field.
Ooh, that was a tough one because these names aren't really good. Um, but I'll go with Tappet Trice. That's pretty clever.
It is a pretty clever name, and you got to like the pedigree play, and yeah, I like that one too. I like Tappet Trice. And there was some debate over how to pronounce the Trice. I remember at one point
Yes.
that people were trying to say it was
Trice.
Trice,
Oh,
and it's like,
yeah.
no, it's not. It's Trice. Listen, one of the things you and I love to do this week in Stable Duel is find value. So I know we're only in mid-April, and obviously a lot of things could potentially change by the first Saturday in May. But as you look at the Derby field now, where do you see the best potential value coming out of this field?
Maybe a horse like Two Phils, who's
Mm-hmm.
run well, might fly a little bit under the radar. I think he's a little bit better than what people anticipate, especially with, not coming from big name connections and everything. I think that one might be a good value.
Yeah, he's my best value play in this race as well. I agree with you. The Larry Ravelli, Jareth Loveberry, coming out of the Jeff Ruby stakes. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that'll allow him to fly under the radar, I think, and give you some value. Well, listen, if there's value in one place, that means there's probably a horse that's a little overhyped in another place. So, in your opinion, the most overhyped horse in this year's Kentucky Derby?
This is a really tough question because I think there's two horses that could fall in this category, but I'm going to say King's Barnes instead of the
Okay.
other one,
Okay.
because I think King's Barnes is kind of almost one-dimensional. Although he's coming from a great barn and everything, I think he's just a little bit overhyped in what he can do.
Yeah. And I think that you're not the first person to give that as an answer. And I do think Kings Barnes is a little, especially after we saw what Disarm did in the Lexington this past weekend. How good was that Louisiana
Yeah.
Derby? Maybe, can you really carve out a 114 and 3 opening 3/4 of the Kentucky Derby? Probably not. So understandable. Well, listen, like I said, we're still 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away from the Kentucky Derby when we're recording this. But if you had to pick today, who do you think is going to be the winner of the big race come
Uh,
Saturday?
Picking today, I would go with Practical Move. I
Ooh.
think that horse has a really big shot. Is running well out west. I know the field and everything has been thin out there. The group of
Mhm.
3-year-olds, but I think that one's pretty good.
I know you've been working on Chuck Simons for that one as well, and trying to get Chuck to kind of see your side of the view. And I will give you a little bit of a spoiler. Our mutual friend Gino Picola just gave Practical Move as his most overhyped horse, actually, in the Kentucky Derby. So there might be
Yeah,
some
he's
contention there.
he's gonna
And
get kicked out of California, but that's okay. He can hang out with me in Florida.
he can come east. Exactly. He can hang out with us. So, well, listen, for every alpha, there is an omega. So we said who you think the winner is going to be. Who do you think is going to be the last place horse in this year's Kentucky Derby?
Um, it was a tough one. I thought about this quite a bit, and I narrowed it down to Lord Miles,
Yeah.
Lord Miles and Sun Thunder, and I think I'm gonna say Sun Thunder.
Oh, that's interesting. So that was the answer that Colin Sheehan gave, and he pointed out that the last 3 horses to finish last in the Kentucky Derby all had a name that started with the letter S. And
Okay,
so that there was like this kind of continuity. And then he found another horse a few years back whose part of his name was Thunder, and he finished last, and all this other stuff. So he was kind
Undersnow,
of,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly right, yeah. And so he was like, oh, this is the sign that Sun Thunder is going to finish last. So we'll see.
There we go.
Well, Barry, 5 up, 5 down. Appreciate your time. Make sure to give Barry a follow on Twitter, Urban Handicapper, URBN Handicapper, Big Mondays with Chuck Simon, This Week in Stable Duel, all the good stuff. So, Barry, thanks for joining me. Make sure if you're out there watching to like and subscribe. Take care until next time, friends.